Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this Thursday morning edition of Benzinga's PreMarket Prep. I'm Spencer Israel. As always, joined by Joel Elconin and Dennis Dick. Dennis, glad you're back with us. Again, a lot of news to discuss, a lot of news to start the year off. There are three certainties in life, if you didn't know. There's death, there's taxes, and there's Tesla missing their delivery numbers. We're going to talk about that. Also have some bad guidance from L Brands. Two new blockchain stocks flying this morning. Some earnings to discuss. A lot of ratings, as is the norm for this time of the year. Guest today will be Scott Redler. He has not been on the show for quite a while. Actually, Scott is the chief strategist at T3 Live and T3 Trading Group. He's going to offer up his end of the year / 2018 roundup and preview for his favorite and least favorite sectors and stocks. Before I throw to Joel and Dennis for the rest of the show, I just want to say something real quick about the chat. We are getting, and by we I mean myself and Joel and Dennis are getting a little annoyed, I would say, to put it mildly, about the behavior in our chat. I am not a babysitter. Joel is not a babysitter. Dennis is not a babysitter. We've taken a very hands-off, laissez-faire approach to monitoring and to watching our chat in terms of what is said in there. But we have now gotten several outside email complaints about things being said in the chat. So we will be going forward, be taking a more hands-on approach. I've already put two people on mute this morning, and quite frankly, we're just tired of it. I'm tired of it. We're all adults here. You don't need to be told what to say and what not to say, I don't think, at least. But we want this to be a fun experience. We want to just talk about trading and the markets with you guys, or anything else that pops up during the show, random tangents as they do. But just keep it real and don't be an ass. Quite frankly, is what it comes down to. Just don't be an ass. We just want to have fun here. So we've been hands off. We've been very relaxed about this in terms of moderating the chat. We're not going to be going forward. The outside complaints have started to come in. So we're this is what we have to do. This is what we have to do. So we're going to be actively monitoring it throughout the day now, banning people, muting people if need be. So there, I've said my piece. I've gotten off my chest. I'm tired of it. And now, Joel, tell us what's happening in the S&Ps.
Just not to belabor the point, this is idea generation forum here. And personal, comments are not necessary. We generate a lot of good ideas. A lot of great ideas come out of the chat. And that's the end of it. Nothing said, So let's move on. Nothing changed in the S&P 500 futures, though. They're up 5 points. A little sell-off off the open. Pre-market high, 17.25. Folks, I'm not going to give you any resistance because there isn't any. Moving into the crude oil market, we cleared that $61 barrier. Now got to trade over 62 at 62.21. I'm going to have to do a little homework and see when last time we were back in this area. Gold finally shows a chink in the armor. 8 straight up days. You knew it couldn't last forever. Traded down 460 at 13.90. So we'll see if it's just a little blip or we get a turn in the gold market. Silver in the red by a dime at 17.17 as well. And Bitcoin, it's just not moving that much here. It is trading down 1.78% at 14,788.20. Just hanging out, a lot of consolidation, but Ripple is on the rip. That's trading up 40% at 384. Dennis, how you doing? I mean, I'm sorry we told everyone that you weren't feeling well, but
the kids were sick.
The kids were
sick,
I which is worse.
Extra little bit of time there. I still traded yesterday. I just didn't have time for the radio show. Sorry, guys. Had a couple of, at least one very sick child. She seems to be doing a little bit better here this morning. So just the flu bug. I mean, it's this time of year. The weather's so cold. The kids get sick. And sometimes got to take a little extra time for your family. So apologize for not being with you guys yesterday, but I'm here in the saddle today and looking at Retail Rec. And it started with L Brands early this morning, but right now it is Macy's. Spencer, you got the numbers here. Macy's right at 8 o'clock as we were starting the show came out with some comps, and they looked okay. It popped initially, but they are finding a reason to sell it.
Comp sales increased 1% in November and December combined. 1% for those 2 months combined year over year. That's not what you want to see for the end of the year holiday sales rush, but
not nearly good enough.
An increase of 1%. They're also closing 11 stores early in 2018 and making further adjustments. But yeah, 1% year over year increase.
And then a big number here too is they see their year sales down 3.6 to 3.9%.
That's huge.
So they're seeing, problems here. And Joel called this. He called this on the show a couple of days ago. He's like, it's just about time to start hearing from some of these retailers. And you were saying that these numbers might not be that great. And great call on your part here, Joel. We are seeing that here this morning. I mean, all of these stocks, all of these traditional retailers were in the doghouse in September and October and early November. They were all, Macy's is going out of business. They're not going to be able to sustain the dividend. We heard multiple times. And then the sentiment turned. And they started buying these things hand over fist. I mean, L Brands, they bought it from $37 up to over $63. Talking about stock going up 80% in the matter of a couple of months, just because they were oversold. But that doesn't mean that they turned it around. It means the sentiment had turned towards those companies, but we hadn't really heard from a lot of these. So it's not surprising to me that we're starting to hear from a couple of L Brands this morning at Macy's, and the sales weren't that great. There's still problems in the retail land here. It's just they forgot about it for a month and a half as they went on this relentless rally. Got overdone. I think some of that air comes out. I've been saying for the last I've been early on it. I've been saying for the last week or two, I've been thinking, eventually there's going to be some type of pullback here. Well, Macy's, we're getting it this morning. Macy's is down a point here now, down 4%. I got to think this is going to weigh on Kohl's, which is only down 1% so far, but it's only traded 100 shares. And JWN, so those are your direct sympathy plays. But I think this is going to spill over into a lot of these retailers here this morning.
All right, let's quick take a look at Macy's, and the daily chart gave you some indication that you had a seller out there, right? I thought it was the $26 level. You got up into the higher, got over 27, but we can't look at resistance now. We got to find support in this thing. And the pre-market low so far in Macy's is right near the lows of the session here, 24.30. Man, oh man, you see that double bottom that you had in Macy's at, let's see, in the 24 handle. Oh, got to go down on my dailies here. You had a double bottom right at the 24.50 area. We are trading below that. See if you get a little pop on this one, but this is definitely one I'm not trying to pick a bottom in today, even off the open. I mean, look at that. There's a
lot of air. There's just a lot of air.
Yeah, because we're right here right now. Tell me where there's support until $20. I mean, you do have some daily lows there. One in the 22 handle, one in the 21 handle. But yeah, I'd be careful trying to pick in bottoms in this one. Now, the real thing is, where do you catch a pop here to short it? And yesterday's low was 25.25. I don't even think you have a shot to see that. Maybe throw something out in the high 24s, 24.80, 24.90, maybe a little sympathetic rally off that. But yeah, I mean, consolidation.
There is a few people who, got squeezed here. So that is the only thing. There is probably some underneath demand somewhere in there because not everybody got covered on these plays and the short interest is climbing. So I think there is some underneath demand just from shorts, but this is going to, maybe turn the sentiment towards the sector. It's sentiment has been straight up for a month and a half. Now you get Macy's, and we haven't even talked about L Brands yet. L Brands is your real disaster of the day. It's down 10%. So maybe just jump in the numbers there, Spencer, and then we'll try to, give you a little more of the carnage. LB.
LB reports December sales up 3% at around $2.5 billion. They also narrowed their Q4 EPS guidance. It was $1.95 to $2.10. It's now $2 to $2.04. So very, very narrowing of that EPS, Q4 EPS. The estimate was at $2.04. So I guess the street thinks it'll be unlikely that they even get there.
So comps slightly better. Guidance slightly light. I mean, the stock had been straight up. So you're looking at a stock that had run from $35, $36 back in September to over 60. Ugly candle yesterday. Not sure who got the memo ahead of time here, but wow, that is an ugly candle. The breakdown started yesterday. Now you're gonna have a really ugly candle here today. $50. You know, big psychological whole number is 52.90. I don't know if it's got the gas to get there today. That might be the first bounce level. Or technician Joel, what do you think?
Nice call, Dennis. I did looked at those numbers right away. 51.80 is your pre-market low. That coincides with your November 29th low. And then after that, look out. 50.06 was your November 28th low. I mean, $1.75 difference in the lows. That's what I'm looking at today. And Dennis, you mentioned, shorts getting squeezed on this, and then, providing bids in the market. But I think the overwhelming factor in Macy's and L Brands is these people sitting on all these profits, man, and just letting it run. I mean, 46, you're still in the money. If you're a buyer at 50, you're still in the money. Now everyone of 52 is underwater. So this is the first day you're going to create the overhead supply. And what if you're not shorted? Maybe you sat this one out and you're thinking, now I got a news. Now
any
I got
pop I want to sell.
Yeah. Now I got
multiple people. Any pop on these things, and there is going to be overhead supply. I mean, just going back to the Macy's chart, you had this thing trading basically around $25, $26 for the better part of the entire month of December. It's been a battle between the bulls and the bears. It was digesting the move from 17 up to 26, and then trying to consolidate, trying to go, I get a little breakout, then you get a little head and shoulders almost forming now the move down, so if it gets back up to the 25, 26 area, a lot of people from last month are long from that area. So that's all overhead supply here now. I gotta think this is gonna, just start hitting all the other ones too. So you think about your Gaps, you think about your Kohl's, think about your Nordstroms, even your Dillard's, although Dillard's never had the run up that the other ones did, that symbol DDS. But if you are a retail stock here this morning, I gotta think there's gonna be some pressure on you.
Dennis, what's the market in the XRT?
It's wide. It always is. It's 45.05 to 46.45. But let's go. It's a good point you're making. Let's go see what is in the XRT.
I got it.
So if we go to, and check out what the components are, I know Macy's is fairly large component, but it's so diversified. There's so many different ones in there.
Guess what number one is?
It's crazy.
Amazon,
Overstock.com.
Yeah.
And that's a lot due to the run up, probably. But It's very equally weighted. Like a lot of these ETFs are heavily weighted in one stock or another. XRT is very equally weighted. So, there's a lot of holdings and a lot of them equally weighted. So you're looking at like 1.3, 1.4% across the board for most of them. It's 1.69 for Overstock, but it's probably due to the big run up that Overstock has had in the last year. But, you look and they're all in there. It's just a matter of, are we going to start spilling into stuff like Five Below? We're going to start spilling over into stuff like Foot Locker. I'm not sure it goes that far, but it wouldn't surprise me if there was some pressure in some of these things because there has been some big run-ups. And we're going to hear from Walgreens tomorrow too, obviously, WBA, so that's one to consider. We did hear from Rite Aid last night. Our AD earnings were not that great. And, maybe we can give those right now, Spencer. It's pretty much our
I
only
just want
earnings.
to say real quick, Dennis and I,
WBA is this morning.
Yeah, I just put the components up of the top 25 holdings and it's just something that, Dennis and I, when we, see news in a sector and we're looking at, the ETF, you like to see where it's weighted. And here's a pretty good illustration. As Dennis said, man, there's a lot in between 1.26 and 1.31, you probably have the 25 holdings. So,
and you found that on Morningstar, correct?
Yeah, Morningstar. Okay. I love Morningstar.
Morningstar is usually very good for top holdings. Yep.
That's my recommended website.
All right. Okay. Rite Aid earnings, Q3 adjusted EPS, break even versus a 2-cent loss estimate. Sales of 5.35 versus $7.45 billion. So big miss on the sales number for Q3. Comps for the quarter down 2.5%. So all in all, not a good quarter. The CFO said on the earnings call they have no plan to provide guidance for the remainder of the fiscal year.
Okay, that's right. Let's go to the WBA numbers too, because I don't know why I forgot that they had already reported here this morning at 7:00. Give us the WBA numbers because that's more influential to the market than Rite Aid.
$1.28 versus $1.26, so a 2-cent beat. Sales of 30.7 versus 30.4 billion, so a slight beat on both for the EPS and the sales for Q1. Their guidance, their outlook for the fiscal year came in at the low end of the range. Also, they raised it
slightly down on the pre-market WBA. It hasn't had the run up some of the other retailers have, but it has run up a bit. It's sitting here and doesn't know what to do. You got 28,000 shares. You got a big buyer at 74.80 for 12,000, and then you got an offer up at 75.19. So it looks like it wants to go down. It just doesn't know how much yet.
I'm just going to go. Your pre-market low here is at 73.66. But for this one, I'm just going to get a longer term perspective. And I got a number right off the top of my head. 84 was the all-time high it made in September. Amazon fears took it down to 64. 63.82 exactly, 20-point move, 50% retracement, 74. Now, you did peak your head above it the last 2 days. You're now trading below it. So that's the line in the sand for me. If this thing holds 74 today over the next few days, greener skies ahead, though, below 74 here. Maybe look for a 50% retracement of the rally, but important to hold 74 on a longer-term basis.
Jump over here just to a couple. The last stock report was Monsanto, MON. Did they report yet?
I don't see them.
What is going on with that deal, Brent?
That's the whole thing. Is that deal going down with Bear? It's been going on for, feels like years here.
Monsanto reported. Yeah, they reported, first of all, 41 cents versus 42 cents and sales of 2.658 versus 2.77 billion. So a slight miss on both the EPS and the sales for Q1. I don't know about the status of that deal. It's been going on for forever.
Bear,
feels
right?
like forever what the status of it is. I mean, last time I think it was antitrust issue somewhere in some country or something. But, it just kind of hangs out here. MON doesn't really know what to do. Obviously, we don't know if the deal's going down or not. Earnings aren't as influential when, there's the potential of the deal actually going through.
There was a report from the New York Post. Was it this morning or yesterday? It was yesterday after the bail that the Bear CEO is auctioning off assets to clear space for the Monsanto deal. So
it looks like, it's leaning towards going down. And obviously MON has just been hanging out in this 118 area for a long time. I mean, earnings aren't that influential when you've got a deal on the table. It doesn't, the individual, if obviously the deal falls apart, then earnings matter though. So here it is, just sitting here this morning, not doing anything.
And I think it was right in the 119, 120 area is where the deal was originally mentioned here. So just keep an eye on that. I don't know how I got the 122.80 and then cascaded down, but more than filled that gap. I just 118 to 120 area. That's the proposed area of the deal. So keep an eye on that.
All right. So ratings land is busy. We're going to get there in 1 second. But before we go there, I do want to go to Tesla, TSLA, because they had delivery numbers here. And they weren't great, surprisingly. That's my sarcasm.
Yeah. Maybe the least surprising thing. Q4 deliveries.
Whoa, that's a big move. There you go.
Okay, Q4 deliveries. It's okay. For Tesla, 29.87 thousand vehicles, which is up 27% year over year. So hey, they're getting better. About 15,000 of those vehicles were the Model S. They only delivered about 1,500 Model 3s in the quarter, which of course is kind of the one that everyone's watching. So it looks like production hell is still going for Tesla because the estimates were, I would say, a little more than 1,500 Model 3s.
I don't know. This stock was all over the place on these numbers. It got hit, and then it actually popped and was up, and then it got hit. So now it looks like when the dust is settling, it looks like it wants to go down. Thoughts, concerns here, Joel? The 300, it's all about the 300.
Yeah,
we know that with this stock. That's what matters. And, it's held it multiple times before. If it does test it today, I think if it goes all the way down there, I think that, I think it holds the first time, don't you?
4,500 was the estimate for the Model 3 deliveries. Anyway.
I mean, this stock this company just gets free pass after free pass after free
Always
pass.
does.
Yeah. So,
I mean, that's what this market is. It's so tough. Here comes a rant. It's so tough to trade logically. It's so tough to, say, oh, here we go. This, is a good report. The stock's going to go up. And then just turn around and go down. I mean, it's all seems to just, when you got Bitcoin and you got all these cryptocurrencies and they're trading, with almost, a combined $1 trillion market cap, wealth been created from nothing. When you got all these pot stocks that just keep blasting off in orbit with, multiples in the 200-300. talking P multiples. I mean, it's so tough. Like valuation almost doesn't even seem to matter anymore. Fundamentals, to a certain extent, they matter on certain stocks. They don't matter on other stocks. It's such a tricky market to sit as an analyst. Like, I can't imagine trying to be an analyst here, sitting here crunching numbers on all these things, and then watching, what happens as, everything just, whatever your thesis was, falls apart because market doesn't care that much about the numbers. It's, the same thing with the retail rally that we saw in December. None of those retailers reported good numbers. They all just got forgotten and they were short squeezed off the bat, and then everybody just jumped in. It's just a market that when the ball gets going in one direction, you can't seem to stop it. It's the full-on momentum market. And if the momentum turns, the stock turns as well. And it's almost like the fundamentals and, the actual analysis of, analyzing numbers and balance sheets and cash flow, statements is almost taking a back burner completely. It's exactly like it was in 1999 to a certain extent, except it's only in certain stocks.
And that rant just got the seal of approval from Veritech. It got the Veritech in the chat seal of approval. I mean, you have to trade it. You have to trade what's in front of you, right? And these moves in Tesla, the rallies have been faded. The breaks have been faded. I'm looking at two levels here, and they're just easy numbers. You had all those lows like around 310, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row. So we're below that. That's your resistance. You need to get back above that, and who knows? Maybe you'll see the close at 317 and a quarter. On the other hand, you don't like this candle here between 300 and 310. I mean, where are you stepping out? If you buy, where's this thing trading at here? 308. All right, you buy at 308. You want to give yourself a 10-point stop? And get stopped out under 300. So you got the shorts, they're real happy about this. They're going to be hoping it gets to 300. I'd say the longer it takes to get to 300, the more of a chance that you're going to get a little bit of a rally. But this is really forming a trading range from just under 300. Now the top of it seems to be 350. And I think if you're trading there and trying to take a position besides a scalp or a short-term trade, it could go absolutely anywhere. And maybe we'll have to dial up Gene because, he keeps defending this stock, right? After report. I think I saw something where he expects them to deliver, 150,000? Was it of the Model 3 or whatever? So let's check in with him and a little bit.
People aren't buying it for the cars. They're buying it for Musk. They want to get long Musk, and it's really the only way to do it. You used to have the other option of the Solar City where they combined his companies in what I thought was just a ridiculous merger, but I guess, the shareholders didn't care. They've continued to buy it. It continues to get a free pass. I don't know when that stops. And things can continue to, remain somewhat irrational from a fundamental perspective forever, it seems like, in this market. Like I've said multiple times in the cryptocurrencies, I don't get it. I mean, I don't really get, like I can just create something out of thin air. Sure, Bitcoin maybe is some of the main ones. But what are these other 1,300 cryptocurrencies? What about all these small ones that get these money? So people are just creating, I'll have the pot coin. I'll have, well, why don't I create the Denny coin? And people are going to go store money in this, and it's a store of value all of a sudden.
Is it tied to your P&L? Is it? Because I'd buy the Denny coin.
You want the Denny coin? It's tied to nothing. That's what all these things are tied to. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. When you buy Bitcoin, you're buying numbers on a screen. That's it. And that's all there is. There's nothing behind it. There's no country behind it. There's no fundamentals behind it. There's nothing to analyze from a fundamental basis. You can't crunch numbers on it. There's nothing to crunch. There's nothing there.
Would that be?
They'll say, "Oh, it's a currency. Oh, well, there's nothing to crunch on a currency too." That's just a terrible argument because it's not true. When you look at and invest in the Canadian dollar, you're looking at what's their export market look like, what's oil look like, what's their interest rate scenario. None of that matters in a cryptocurrency. It doesn't matter at all. It is not, because none of that applies. So it's not a currency. It's nothing to do with the currency. It's not even a good means of, transaction here with the costs that are involved in it and the timing to my certain extent. I don't understand it all, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because this market is not about being rational. It's about being what's hot, and what's hot goes up, and what's not goes down. And eventually, stuff does matter in the long, long run, but I don't know if you can hang around that long, survive that long. You can make a call right now and say, well, Bitcoin I don't think is worth anything. I'm going to short it, and it'll go 50,000 in your face. So how do you do it?
Two questions. Is the Denny coin measured in U.S. or Canadian dollars?
I don't know what it's meant.
And-
No, it's meant Denny
And-
dollars.
No, I want Denny
You know what?
dollars. Oh,
I'll create the Denny coin and Denny dollars, and then I'll say it's a store of value.
Hell
And
yeah.
people will come and buy it hand over fist. And I'll be a millionaire. And then I'll sell the top like this, Litecoin guy and say, I just want to separate myself, because I'm influential on the coin. So I don't want to be influential. So I'll just go sell the top to all these suckers out there. It's all absolutely ridiculous. You just don't want to be the last guy holding. I think in the long run, all these cryptos are in trouble. But the short run, who the hell knows? Maybe it keeps going. So, but I've had a rant on cryptocurrency.
Wait, I just got one more
Everybody
thing.
knows I'm not bullish
Does
these
the
days.
Denny coin include your hockey playing ability? Is that a five?
If that's the case, I would short
Then
it.
I'd short it.
My
Yeah.
hockey playing ability isn't that great. I play hockey, but I'm not that good. I'm no Connor McDavid, I'll tell you that.
Oh, he's not McDavid. Connor's not doing too well.
In our league, it's Curtis. He listens to the show too. I'll give Curtis a shout out there. He's the hockey player in our league.
Okay. All right.
You got to buy the Curtis coin if you're investing in hockey.
Spoos are exploding here, up 775 at 1875. We're
Except
just
Macy's.
on the move here. I don't even, when I do my levels, Dennis, I just put the close and then yesterday's high, and then I just don't put anything above it because there's just, I can't have any 1, 2, or 3. It just doesn't make any difference. And that breakout yesterday, 98.25, that would have been 4 highs here. So I'm not even going to get remotely bearish until we get back under 26.98. So we'll just rip through this 2,700 handle and hit 28. But all right, we got about 8 minutes here before we bring on Mr. Redler. We got imbalances in 3 minutes. We have unenjoyment tomorrow.
We have a million ratings to talk about. We'll probably have another blockchain play come out at 8:30. Keep an eye on the wires there because it seems like they come out at 8:30. We even talked about the one from this morning that came out at 7:45 with CNET, CNET. And if you want your, blockchain play of the day, it's up 142% because let's go look at the headline.
It was
China Net Online and blockchain pack with
Hell
Jigcom Tech. Whoa! And it's up 150%. But we know these things don't seem to last because we know from Burger, BURG, the other day. I was early saying I didn't think it was going to go above 5. It went to 6 in the pre-market. Never did. It's back down here at 3. So you don't want to be too early on these things. But seeing that up at $3 here, my long-term case is this thing gives it all back. I don't know where it goes short run, but I think when I look at this thing, even in a week, I think it's below $2.93. I think when I look at it in a day, it's below. Now it's 312. Look, it's going right up in my face. They heard me talking bearish about it. And they're shoving it in my face. But 309, these things are all, if you're in these things, I ring the register when I get the 160% pop and laugh all the way to the bank.
Also, COGT, Cogent. Cogent reported a strategic alliance with Dragon Chain to combine their analytics and intelligence with blockchain technology. So, COGT.
Did you guys hear about who's making a comeback? Blockbuster. They're going to be coming back under Blockchain Buster.
Blockbuster. They had the name.
They had the name.
They could have stuck that on the outside of the store's blockchain, and people would just flocked into the stores. We're doing DVDs, and we're doing, or DVD rentals here, and we're doing them all based on the blockchain. We'll have a blockchain rewards program, and everybody's going to come to our store, and we're going to be the next, $1 trillion market cap stock.
Okay.
Block. That's a good one,
All
Joel.
right.
Block. The old BBI.
I got to admit, I got that from someone.
There's no way Joel thought of that.
I got it.
There's no way.
I did make up the.
Hey, what about my international blockchain machines, though? Hey, what about that call 3 days ago on the show? I bought that thing now at 153.87. That nice pop for it yesterday when I wasn't on.
You bought it swing, portfolio, or scalp?
Portfolio. I threw her in there because first of all, I like the valuation. Second thing, I think there could be some blockchain. I'm still going to say, I think there could be some blockchain headlines from IBM this year. If that happens, that could help the stock too. So I'm sticking with it. This is, I told this is my comeback story of the year for 2018. I'm sticking with it.
Okay. All right.
160. You're trading it. That's
160's
the big
big,
number.
yeah. I looked at this 159.81, and I alerted a few traders in the chat to that yesterday. That with 59.81, that coincides perfectly with the 59.70 high. We look poised to take that out today, especially with the momentum in the SPOOs. Recent high of the move. Keep an eye on this. This may be where Warren had some sell orders, because you had a double top just after earnings at the 162.50 area. But those are just short-term levels if you're scalping it off the open. Long-term, I like this thing too here, Dennis. And we've been talking about it with Sean Udall, and it's got a nice looking chart here. It filled that big gap after earnings, man. That was a gift play there. And now, for me, I'm worried about this gap here. But longer term, maybe if it did come back down to that 154 area, a little place for a swing long.
Jump over here. Just gold's getting a pop here. Let's go to the weekly jobless claims here that just came out. Spencer, you got those numbers?
Threw me under the bus. I was going actually looking through the chat, ironically. Let me look real fast. Jobless claims for December, 1.91 million versus 1.93 million estimate. The prior was 1.94.
And we saw stocks lift a little bit. Gold's lifted up here. It's kind of a funny day. You look at stocks are up, gold's up, TLT is slightly down, so bonds are getting hit. That's good for the banks. The banks are trading higher here this morning. If we're looking, XLF is trading up. We've also got the Bank of America, Citigroup, all trading up here this morning. If I look at imbalances, I tell you, man, GE's had buy imbalances 3 days in a row here. That's a trend. That's something to note if you are trading it, obviously. And GE here this morning is got an 879,000 share buy and balance, 1836. It seemed like it gave it back there yesterday after after it had the open there, but it did. So, but there's a trend here, and if that continues, sometimes the play is to buy the close and sell the open. And if you're doing that today, it looks like you'd be making money again. It's a nice lift for GE in the pre-market. Keep an eye on that trend. 3 days in a row, we've seen buy and balances.
I read the continuing claims number. The initial claims number, 250,000 versus 241,000. The prior was 245. So a good initial claims number. That's the correct number.
Couple more blockchain plays over the counter though. SNPW came out at 8:30. They signed a letter of intent to purchase 60 acres of land to build a solar and wind farm with blockchain technology. And then you've got
Are you kidding me? How do you build something with blockchain?
I don't know. They're using blocks. So that's blockchain technology when you use physical blocks to build your building. Now, Timefire VR shifts, and this is TFVR, Timefire VR shifts primary corporate focus towards strategic investments in blockchain technology and potential related acquisitions. So, more people trying to take advantage of the hype. And keep an eye on your blockchain filters and your Benzinga Pro, because these things typically break sometime in the morning. At 7:38, 8:30 are the key times, it seems like.
All right, these are kind of quiet, muted reactions here. Penny stocks, so do what you want with them. 8:33, Dennis, you did mention the imbalances. Do we want to sneak in a rating here? Do we want to?
Couple big ones. Go ahead, Spencer.
Oh, we're doing ratings. I thought we were doing imbalances. Okay, ratings. Snapchat was the one that I saw that caught my eye this morning. Snapchat catching a downgrade there from Cowen to underperform. That was the biggest one that caught my eye.
Oh boy, this thing has just been tight the last couple days. I don't know. I take a look at it at 1450. I see trio, man, a bunch of lows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lows between 1455 and 1483. Big volume day yesterday on a rally. I don't know. Little bit of a fader, I think. In the lower 1450s. I see it one spike to 1460, but I don't know. The stock just doesn't do a lot for me on either side, long or short. All right, Spencer, 8:34. You want to take a quick break and bring in Red Dog?
I do. Scott Redler. He's the chief strategist at T3 Live and T3 Trading Group, one of our favorite guests, and we'll be right back with the Red Dog. Welcome back, everyone, to PreMarket Prep. I'm Spencer Israel, joined by Joel Elconin and Dennis Stick, and we're on the line now with one of our favorites, Scott Redler, Chief Strategist at T3 Alive in the T3 Trading Group. Scott, how's it going this morning?
It's going great. It's a little snowy here in the Northeast, but
Yes.
It is what it is. It is.
Are you okay? Has the snow blotted out the sun yet?
Well, the snow bomb, which is what the media called it. It's amazing these days what the media needs to call things to get page views, right? They had to call it the bomb Easter versus just like a northeaster or a blizzard. But anyway, most schools are all canceled, and I didn't actually even go into the city to trade. I have a Short Hills office, so I'm here today. So just like the market, you have to adjust when things change. Well, you have to adjust when a storm happens, right?
Yep. Way to be. Stay in your jerseys. The best place to be during a storm. Anyway, Scott, 2018 is off to the races. I am looking at your year in review that you sent to your subscribers right just before the end of the year. Give me a quick overall top-down view of where you see the market going this year.
Well, basically the trend has been strong and the rotation has been plentiful, and there's setups across the board. And at this point, there's nothing different than last year. I sent out my 2018 report on Thursday, so everyone had a chance to position into positions or whatever they wanted to do before 2018 started. And really, I just showed the trend of the NASDAQ that's been trending above the 21-day pretty much for the majority of the year, and the same thing for the S&P, and showed the different sectors that have been, taking turns moving around, and how the leaders and FANG were all tight. And the question was, would new flows come in to start the year like it did, or would they take some profits? And all in all, probably been the best 2 trading days I've seen for this year in a long time, besides the great trading that we saw last year. You had energy names, that had started to accumulate and go in December, get follow through. You saw tech, which was the leadership, or had most of the leadership at times. Ignite on Tuesday, get follow through Wednesday, up a little bit today. The S&P broke above 2694. The only people who are really upset are the guys short and the guys who are sitting on the sidelines talking about how we're going to have the next crisis because they feel bad they're not involved.
You called 2017 in your review the year of the pain trader. Explain that.
Well, when you don't correct and you don't have a 3% correction like everyone basically wanted, and people are caught rolling up shorts, they're in a pain trade. Those who have, bought good positions and sold thinking that they need to take profits and they just continue to go higher. So even though you made money, some traders were in somewhat of pain because they were upset that they got rid of their longs a little bit too early. So, guys that were long, probably were happy that they made money, but guys that were short were caught in a lot of pain trades where, these things, went fast. Like they were consolidating, kind of like dripping down, and then all of a sudden, boom, big igniting bar. If you don't jump in, there was no pullback to buy. So you had to be very prepared. You had to be very planned, and you had to trust your instincts for when trades ignited. You had to jump in fast and trust your process in order to get involved, because the good stocks and the great trades didn't wait for anyone and didn't give anyone an easy way in.
It's actually been a while, Scott, since you've been on the show, and someone in our chat this morning, when I mentioned you were going to come on, mentioned your 3-day rule. So explain the 3-day rule to us.
Okay, well, typically I like to buy on day one. What's day one? Day one is an igniting bar. In technical analysis land, an igniting bar is usually a wide range, big igniting candlestick that engulfs a range. This is a good time to talk about that, because on Tuesday, if you look at the chart of Facebook, you'll see an igniting bar. The stock was in a really tight, channel, doing a whole lot of nothing in December. Then boom, ignited above 179, gave you a day one. Day two was yesterday. Now here's day 3. And on day 3 is not the day you want to get excited and get, starting a new position. On day 3, you want to be taking, the trade off. Day 1 usually is like, hey, we're ready to go. Get involved. Day 2, usually you can even add to it. And then if it's strong, you can sell towards the end of the day. And day 3, if it happens, great job. You are, you held a nice trade. And then typically if you're out on day 3, sometimes day 4, day 5, day 6, which creates a pain trade, you might get a little upset, but you can't get upset about making money. But usually a day 1 is volume coming in, institutions buying, and typically they come back for more. So if you buy on day one and add day two, you're usually in good shape. If you start buying because you missed day 1 and 2 on day 3, 4, it's a little bit more complicated, and you just have to be a bit more careful.
All right, I'm going to ask you for some specific names now that you're liking for 2018. Give us some of your favorites.
Well, it all depends on the type of trader or the type of trade you are. In my 2018 report, I think I came up with 18 names. Okay, I loved actually GE and AMD as a January effect, dogs of the Dow type of trade, even though AMD is not in the Dow. And both of them had a really nice 3-day move. Even GE, if you do percentage-wise, was a good trade. AMD popped $2. Those were type of setups that we had going into the year. I don't think they're going to become leaders, but they were good trades. I also, as far as mega cap, I think IBM, is what I listed as my mega cap trade of the year. I think that it's going to finally get going. It's been in a multi-year channel with declining revenues. I think finally that might stop this year, and it might even get a little bit of a sexier story because they're more involved with blockchain, and had a nice upgrade yesterday. So I bought calls in December and actually bought the stock on Tuesday, and I'm going to try and stay with that. As far as momentum trades, in FANG, one of my favorites is Amazon. Amazon talked about day one, had a nice day one on a Tuesday. Yesterday broke above 1190, and I think that in the next few sessions it's going to take out the all-time high, so I'm involved in that. Apple, I think, had a lot of negativity around it in the last week or two and held in fine. I'm long Apple, but for this one, I'm going to use my stop as the 50-day, because if it breaks the 50-day, typically, it might correct a bit more, and I could revisit just in case that, the Model X did have a slowdown, etc. So there are lots of different types of trades that go on in the beginning of a new year. It just depends on the types of trades you like. Like yesterday, I sold my XLE. XLE was an unbelievable trade. Not a group that I like to trade, but you know what? It broke out above the wedge pattern in December. I put the chart on Twitter when XLE broke above 70, and I reached 74.75. So do I think the trade's over? Maybe not, but for me, that was my target. Same thing with the OAHs. I haven't traded the OAHs in years, but if you look at the pattern posted on Twitter too, the inverted head and shoulders pattern, it was an accumulation bottoming pattern. That one, I wasn't comfortable buying the ETF, so I bought a lot of the calls, and then it broke above the neckline of 26, and now it's 27 and change, took off half, and I'll hold half. So it all depends on how you approach it. I feel like most traders having success, when the S&P is above the 8 and 21 day, which means a strong trend, they're taking a portfolio approach, which means you're long 8 to 12 things and you massage those positions using a tier system, meaning adding shares when they're ready to break out, selling some when, they get extended, rotating around when flags are happening into other sectors, and keep doing that until the trade changes. And at this point, the trade hasn't changed, and those riding the trends using the best stocks and different types of tactics are in good shape. And you know what? At some point, I don't know when, could be mid-January, could be the end of earnings season, we finally get a hard break lower below the 8 and 21 day on the S&P, reduce our positions from 8, 12, 15 to maybe 2 or 4. All of a sudden, it doesn't reclaim the 8 and 12 and 21 day. Then all of a sudden shows you something different, like maybe we do get a 3% correction or maybe a 5. And then you get more tactical, you maybe short a few things or you get out of the way and then you trade differently. But at this point, the market's been doing a lot of the same, and that's been trending with key names getting good flows here and there.
I want to ask you about one we don't talk about a lot on this show, and that's Zito Express, ZTO, an IPO from a couple of years ago. Definitely been a little bit choppy. Why is this one on your favorites list?
The Chinese names have been real good to us. Last year, my favorite, or the last 2 years, was Baba. Baidu had a huge run. The whole, Chinese air arena has been strong. I like the pattern there. It's definable. It's been in consolidation, I think, since the IPO. It's been out for, I don't have it in front of me, over a year. So to me, I felt as if someone wanted something that it could potentially, have a multi-year run, you have to look sometimes to new issues. And this one had a nice base. So if it takes out the IPO high, I do think that, you could have a nice run, but at least it's kind of calculated. So basically, you want to trade the leaders. Like right now, I'm in Baba, and I like Baidu, but every now and then, if you look for a newer name, because sometimes newer names can get you, the best returns. I think that's one that I put on the radar for everyone in the report.
We're on the line with Scott Red Dog Redler, Chief Strategist at T3 Live and T3 Trading Group. Scott, great to speak to you in the new year. Quick question for you here, and I've been following you, and you've been getting down and dirty in the cryptocurrencies a little bit. Tell us, how you're approaching them. Are you just sticking with Bitcoin? Are you looking at some of the other currencies? And how the hell are you trading them? Maybe you can convince Dennis that to start trading them.
It's funny. If you look on Google, I did a segment on Bitcoin, I think 2 weeks ago. Actually, in my 2017 report, I did write that Bitcoin would be the place to be, avoid gold and silver. And that was when Bitcoin was like at 1,000. Did I think it would go to 20,000? No. But, technically it followed a really nice chart pattern where it was above the 21-day, maybe the entire year, and only pulled back to the 50-day 3 times. So fast forward to 2 weeks ago when they had me on CNBC, that was during the first small corrective phase of Bitcoin where it hit 19,000, broke. It was like at 15,000. Like, what do we do here? I'm like, well, technically the 50 days around 12,000. And if the trend is going to remain strong, that should hold. It went a little bit below 12,000. Now it's bouncing around 15,000. You have a wedge pattern developing in Bitcoin right now where it gets above 16,000 and stays above it. Maybe it goes back to the highs of last year and above it, breaks below 12,000. Could probably see 8,000. Same thing like any other chart out there. You could use technicals. A lot of these cryptocurrencies, they trade so clean. They're just a lot faster than your normal stock. The 3 month, 6 month, 9 month patterns, when they break above it, they go. You saw that 2 months ago with Litecoin. You saw it with Ethereum. Ripple was hovering between 70 cents and $1 for a good few weeks, and it broke above $1, went to $1.30, held there. Now it's like 3 and change. There's a lot of action there.
All right, so you're just doing it technically, like you could care less, right? You're just taking your numbers like you do in the stocks, and you're applying those technicals to it, right? Like you have no opinion whether it's an asset class, whether it's going to be around or 5 or 10 years. You just are using your skills from the markets to trade it. Then, correct? Would that be an accurate assessment?
That's exactly right. Do I think 6 years from now I'm going to have dollar bills in my pocket? No. Do I think I'm going to have some kind of electronic wallet to pay with it with Bitcoin or some other cryptocurrency? I'm not sure, but I think there's a higher probability of that than what we're using today.
Okay. Let's just go a couple stocks here and we'll let you go. I know you got to get ready for your meeting and you're open. DC1 is asking about ARNC here and the old Alcoa. Nice move up here. 28 seems to be a level. Any thoughts on Arconic?
Not really. Something that I haven't been trading, so I don't want to,
okay.
give him just
that's
a baloney
fine.
answer here.
That's fine.
Okay. I have like 15, 20 longs in them. So if you want to look at those and ask a question about that, I probably could answer it with a little bit more expertise.
Okay. All right, that's fine. I'm trying to see if there's anything else here that's popping up. No, you already gave your thoughts on IBM. So, all right, Red Dog, we'll let you slide. It's been a while. We want to get you back on here. I'm getting great guests. Some really good comments here. So we're going to have to track you down and get you on again soon. Thanks for coming on at the last second. Scott Red Dog Redler of T3 Live.
Sounds good. Have a great one.
Thank you. Safe. Stay safe. 849 S&P futures just touched 27.19, only 2 ticks off that. One thing, Dennis, are you back with us here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Did you hear what he said? 5-6 years, he's going to may have a little like electronic wallet, and that's how he's going to be paying for stuff.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with that. I don't think we're going to be using dollar bills, but I think this, electronic wallet is going to be based in US dollars, or I think it's going to be based in Ripple. That's my argument is that I think, all these digital currencies could just easily, the US dollars turn into a digital currency. Let's turn these things, why can't we use the technology? If you think the technology is that great, which I don't even know if I'm a believer in blockchain technology, but if you think it's that great, why can't the governments themselves just, incorporate them into their own currencies? What do we need, the Bitcoin for? How do we know who's the current currency to? I mean, all I heard about was Bitcoin this whole time. And in the last 3 months, now it's Ripple. So who knows who's gonna be the winner of it all? I mean, there's so much speculation here, but Red Dog's right. The only way to trade these things, and if you're gonna trade them, and if you can trade them, great. You trade anything. I always say you can put on a trade for anything. What I'm talking about, I try to wear two hats always here on the show. I've got a trader hat and I've got an investor hat. As in my investor hat, I have no interest in Bitcoin and no interest in crypto whatsoever. My trader hat says, man, there's probably some opportunities, probably even some arbitrage opportunities that go on here. Maybe that's something I should have been exploring last year. Maybe I'm late to the party here, but still sounds like the markets are pretty inefficient. Maybe I should be getting into and trading the cryptos this year. He's trading them technically. You can trade anything technically. It's a nice thing about technicals. So completely agree with him. As a trade, you can put on any trade. Just know where your out is. And don't get stuck holding it, when it starts to break down or when the sentiment turns, don't get stuck in there, because when it turns, it's going to get ugly. We just don't know at what point that's going to happen. I kind of, speculated that I already think the Bitcoin turn has already happened in Bitcoin itself, but you see Ripple, Ethereum making new highs. I mean, a lot of these other cryptocurrencies are picking up the slack for where Bitcoin really hasn't done much in the last couple months. So you can trade anything technically. Just don't, get married to it and say, oh, well, it starts breaking down on you, saying, okay, well, I know it's going to come back eventually. I'm just going to hold it. Because again, when you go into the hope trade, you're in the hopeless trade. Do not, trade on hope. You can invest on, to a certain extent, hope. Don't trade on hope, though.
All right. Sprint news pending. Halted news pending here. What the heck could that be? We'll just wait.
Well, it's got to be with T-Mobile, right? So, and you can see what's happening in the telecoms here this morning. Have we got any details here? This has been halted for a while here this morning, the Sprint.
No, it hasn't. It just came through.
Oh, it just got halted now? Well, I didn't trade. Oh, 8:49. Yeah, so it's been halted 3 minutes ago.
No,
but there's been a lot of action in all the telecoms here this morning. So we don't know what the deal here is. Yeah, is T-Mobile halted too?
No.
Dennis, I want to get your a couple opinions here. First of all, real quick on that Arconic for DC1, you could have a breakout here.
What stock?
Arconic, ARCN, ARNC.
Your dyslexia is kicking in again.
Thank you. I forgot to take my pills this morning.
Forgot to take your pill.
Left them on the counter. Hope the dog doesn't get them. Be reading the Wall Street Journal when I get home. Over 28 looks like a solid breakout here. I don't know if there's any news associated with this move, but closed right at a high of the session. We've traded a couple thousand shares. Wells Fargo initiates coverage on Arconic with the outperform rating, announces a $35 price target. So you may have finally cleared that $28 hurdle. I'd like to see it stay above it for the remainder of the session. And there's a couple pesky highs above 28, but could be clear sailing up to 29.
That's the old Alcoa.
What's the other one? What's the other one?
It's AA. So the new Alcoa took the old one symbol. It's so confusing because ARNC is the old Alcoa, and then the new one is the AA, which has been just on rocket.
Do you have that still? I know you got.
I have both. Yeah, because it spun it off. I had Alcoa for years and years and years in my invest portfolio. It's been one of those legacy positions like I've had with General Electric. I think I'm actually probably getting to a point where I'm actually maybe up in it now. I'd have to. It's confusing because they gave you two stocks, and then you got to reanalyze it. I bought Alcoa originally around $20, and that was after it was down from 50. And then, it came in, but then they took some shares and they did the spins. And so it's all confusing. So I don't even know. I have to sit there with my calculator to figure out what my cost basis is on this thing now. But I have shares of AA and I have shares of ARNC in my investment portfolio. And I don't know if I'm up or down in it. But I tell you, in the last couple of months, those two positions have done pretty well.
Right. I see them both. Arconic here, as I said, trying to clear the $28 level. And then AA is, this is a weird looking chart because you look at the daily, you're like, holy macro, look at this saying 40 to 55. This is such an overextended run. I got to get short. But then you go to the monthly here and party just may be getting started here of a breakout over 55. So it's a good thing to use different time frames on charts and to get different perspectives. If you're like Dennis and you got so many things in your portfolio and splits and stuff, you got to keep track of it, but always getting good to get a longer term perspective. The chat's buzzing about Macy's here and
come all the way back.
Really?
Yeah, you know what? You just can't keep, the sentiment has turned here, and it looked like it was going to break down. It looks like it's going to be an ugly day again. Fundamentals don't seem to matter. Here comes, disappointing sales. We don't care. Shorts are, what do you got? A lot of people squeezed in this thing still, just like I was saying, that was the potential for the pop. And those people who are squeezed are coming in, and then you get the people saying, well, if it can't go down on bad news, it's never going down. I'm going to buy it too here. L Brands is staying down, so it has not popped, but Macy's has come all the way back here after saying that they see the sales falling this year. So say disappointing fundamental news, I guess it's still just, too cheap maybe.
Let the Bulls and the Bears battle it out. See what happens on the close today. 25.33. That was a buck drop from Tuesday's close. So, let's see what the big money, what they decide whether this is good or bad news. But right now, trading in the green by 27 cents. Haven't got the news yet. For
Sprint, we're still waiting for.
CNBC
just recorded the halt.
Oh, I'm sorry. What do you got, Dennis? I was not going to talk about Sprint. So what do you?
No, I was just saying. It's just CNBC just tweeted it out there too. That's halted. So we're all waiting for the Sprint news. No information has been released here yet. We'll let you know if it happens in the next 5 minutes while we're still on the air.
Spencer,
I was going to mention one of our editors actually hopped into the chat. I missed it earlier. Jason Chubnell, our go-to wrestling expert, noted that WWE is approaching new all-time highs after a Wells Fargo upgrade today. I remember that we actually booked an analyst on the show 2 years ago who covers WWE, and that was the only time that the chat revolted against a guest that I booked. They were like, "Why did you?"
Who was it?
He was from Macquarie. I don't remember his name. It was Jamie Clement, and he was from Macquarie, covers WWE. And the chat was like, "Why did you get this guy? Why are we talking about wrestling on this show?" Anyway, I thought that was a funny story.
Let's get him back on. I mean, was he bullish?
It's 2 years ago. I don't remember.
Been hot.
Yeah.
So who upgraded this today? I think it caught an upgrade, didn't it?
Yeah, I think Wells Fargo.
Wells upgrade. Okay.
All right. A few stray prints here, but you did have a pair of highs in WWE from the last two sessions, matching highs at 31.50, 31.63. We are trading right there right now. So you hold that, go up and fill a little gap under 32, and 33.28 was the high of the move.
858, it could be a quick imbalance. Look again, GE imbalance has grown 1.3 million to buy now in GE. It's trading up significantly. Square, which has had a nice 2-day run, make it a 3-day run here now, up another buck here in the pre-market. They pumped it on fast money last night. It seems like whatever they say on fast money just goes their way. SQ, 227,000 to buy here this morning. Berkshire Hathaway trying to break through that $200 level, BRK.B we are talking about here. That has been a brick wall. It is breaking out here this morning. It looks like 50,000 to buy here on brick.B.
That's big.
Jump over here. Chevron is 56,000 to sell. I believe it caught a downgrade here today, so that's your reason it is trading down the pre-market. Nike, 56,000 to sell. Let's go look at Macy's. I'm just curious if there's anything there. 21,000 to sell. It's turned around, obviously, so there's going to be a lot of action there as well.
All right, I just want to alert our traders to two possible trades here. One, and there's no buzz on the banks, but you have Bank America trading up 19 cents here at 29.99. Is this the day we finally clear out the sellers at 30? 30.03 was the high of the move, been holding a range 29.5 to 30.5 to 30 even. So see what happens if the 30s go in Bank America. Also, I'm looking at a little setup in Twitter here. I like these kind of formations in Twitter. I've seen it do it once, seen it do it a few times. 4 highs in the same area here from 24. Oh, actually 1, 2, 3. 3 out of 4. 4 out of 5. 5 out of 6 highs right at the 24.60 area. So let's see if Twitter can get a little boost and break out, get back into the 25 handle. All right, 8:59. Great show today. If I don't say so myself, chat, great input. That's what we like to have here, a back and forth of ideas. Spencer, do you want to wrap things up? Tell us what's on the docket for Friday.
Looks like we're not going to get that Sprint news before the end of the show. I would be shocked, though, if we didn't get it before the open. So keep an eye on that over the
Sprint names just breaking here right now. Okay. Sprint names. New exec. Michael Combs is president and CFO. So that's not anything that people were hoping for, I'll tell you that.
No.
Because, when you see Sprint halted, you wonder if it's some talks are back on with T-Mobile or not. Appears not. Appears they just halted it. Names Michael Combs as president and CFO.
All right. Thanks for that, Dennis. And on that note, we're going to wrap the show. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed our guest, Scott Redler. Thanks to Scott for joining us. Thanks to all of you who listened and joined us in our chats on YouTube and premarket.benzinga.com. You can catch the podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher if you missed us. But have a good rest of your day, folks. We'll be back with you on Friday.